Hello, today I'm going to show you how to create an Italian bind-off. So to start with, you need a piece of work with 1x1 rib of your desired length. This is also workable in the round, so just do what I'm going to show you today and it will work out just fine. You will also need a needle and a scissor. And this is because first we need to cut your yarn. And you need a long tail of yarn. It's at least 3 times the length of the fabric that you are going to cast off. But I usually like to add a bit more length. So I'm just going to cut over here, so quite a bit more length. Just to have a margin, because once you have cut your yarn, you have cut your yarn. So let's thread our needle. First we need to set up the stitches. And so first we have a knit stitch and then a purl stitch, and then it keeps going. So the knit stitch, first you have to purl with your needle through the knit stitch. Put your thread through as if to purl. Then we're gonna bring the needle through the back here between the first and the second stitch. Pull your needle through and then knit through the second stitch. So knit through the purl stitch. Now we have set up our Italian rib. So let's start with the first step. So you pull your needle through the first stitch on the needle, pull your needle through and as if to knit, and then you can slip off that stitch. So that stitch is done. Now let's move on to our second stitch here, and we're gonna purl that stitch. So purl the second stitch. And now we're also gonna purl the first stitch on our needle, and now we can slip off the purl stitch. Pull your yarn through to the back, and now place your needle between the first and the second stitch on your needle. Pull the yarn through, and then we're gonna knit through the second stitch. You can also knit through the first stitch, and at the same time you can slip it off your needle. Now purl through the second stitch on your needle, and then purl off the second stitch. Then enter the needle through the back between the first and the second stitch and knit through the second stitch on your needle. Then knit through the first stitch on your needle while slipping it off. Now purl through the second stitch of your needle, and then purlwise you can slip off the first stitch on your needle. With your yarn on the back of your work, pull your yarn with your needle between the first and the second stitch, and then knit through the second stitch. Now knit while slipping the first stitch on your needle, and then purl through the second stitch on your needle. Now purl the first stitch on your needle and enter your needle between the first and the second stitch and knit through the second stitch on your needle. Now knit while slipping the first stitch on your needle, then purl through the second. So it's knit, knit, purl, purl, knit, knit, purl, purl. So now we're going to purl, enter through the back, knit, and knit. Purl, purl, knit, knit. Now we have the last 2 stitches, but we just keep going. So purl, purl, and knit. There we have our Italian rib. Happy knitting!